Neon Genesis Evangelion is, on the surface, a teen action cyberpunk anime following a group of children encompassed with the destiny of the world through controlling mecha-style robots. It's easy from this description to be misconstrued as to what the show really entails, from referencing philosophical literature and existentialist theories to rhetorical debates on capitalism and religion. These themes are what arguably make the show what it is, much more notably than the physical plot. Could it be that the show was able to draw together these topics in such a digestible way by being able to draw reference to oneself and their identity within modern culture, allowing us the perspective of understanding why science and ideological thought exists as it does? And can we link this back to theorists that have already taken this step, such as Marx and Eagleton? Many episodes of the show revolve around the characters' ideas of their own identity. Their monologues reek of ideological theory, suggesting that they exist predominantly through the reflection of the other characters' thoughts about them.
Everything is simply a shape, a form, an identifier to let others recognize me as me. But then, what am I? Is this me? My true self? My fake self? What is it that I am?
Karl Marx says, when you ask about creation of nature and man, you are abstracting, in doing so, from man and nature.
Mankind cannot live without being surrounded by others.
Mankind cannot live alone.
Although you yourself are always unique.
This is best explained in the finale, where Shinji gets to choose for himself his perfect version of existence. This holds no physical boundaries or form or movement, and most importantly to my argument, no other people.
What is this? A world of nothing? A world with nobody in it? This is the world of perfect freedom. Freedom? Perfect freedom. A world in which you have no restriction.
Shinji's colleagues narrate in the background the importance of people to make you understand who you are. So this reasonably suggests that thoughts in humans can only be observed when surrounded by other humans. But in a show about robots and gods, what makes you human can be up for debate. So what is it that makes one human?
You do anything you're ordered to, don't you? You'd kill yourself if your commander told you to, wouldn't you? Of course. Then you are a robot, just like I thought! You're an unthinking, emotionless puppet, I hate you!
Is it the ability to feel strong emotions? Or is it the action of making your own choices with your thoughts and feelings at the forefront of your decisions? Terry Eagleton suggests that ideas are what men and women live by and will occasionally die for.
Never! I'd rather die than admit defeat now!
Therefore, is Rei human?
Inside me I have life and heart, the vessel of the heart.
Someone with no real independent thought, completely at the will and sacrifice of piloting the Eva. Rei is a character that completely juxtaposes the likes of the overly emotional protagonists. When we come to find out that she is not entirely human, the viewer feels a sense of relief as to why she seems so indifferent and almost uncanny. However, we can ultimately sympathize with the knowledge that she is also not entirely creature either. She is constantly expected to work with the motives of others in mind, despite the pain and emotional torment that she is put through. However, instead of finding her own reasons for living, it is her that ultimately always fulfills the wishes of her creator, leading perfectly into Donna Haraway's ideas of science fiction. The cyborg does not expect its father to save it, does not dream of community on the model of the organic family.
Human beings made from a man and a woman.
The relationship between Rei and Akari here contrasts vastly compared to that of Akari and Shinji, being that Shinji is Akari's biological son. Despite their seemingly paternal connection, Shinji's perception of his own identity is strikingly different and emotionally demanding. Rei is, on the other hand, calculated and asks nothing of him, since she is an artificially created being, pre-programmed with scientific knowledge.
Don't you trust your own father?
I thought I hated my father, but now I'm not sure.
That was good work, Shinji.
My father called me by my name. I was praised by my father.
Hanaway would suggest in this context she is seemingly cyborg, being that she is the illegitimate offspring of militarism and patriarchal capitalism. She therefore cannot relate to Shinji's desire to be praised, as she is not the natural child of the show's father figure, but instead a created being.
The city, the work of man. Eva, the work of man.
So when we see Akari treat both characters as weapons, we can understand more clearly why Shinji is so psychologically damaged.
Are you happy being alive?
I don't know.
Not understanding the capitalistic, power-hungry positioning of his father that makes the man view him as a piece of machinery.
What do you mean you're going to salvage Shinji?
Well, theoretically, Shinji's life force still exists in there.
And will you be respecting that life this time?
Shinji as a human has faults and will always be a failure in his father's eyes, as he requires much more guarded attention, considering that he was raised without the power of predetermined input intelligence. Shinji cannot learn like a robot, and his neglect meant he could not learn from the teachings of Ikari.
My father, what's he like?
I don't know.
This fuels Shinji's loathing anger towards his father throughout. He is never fully able to grasp why he is not loved or wanted, but is still needed for Nerf's plans and is continually demanded to be brought back to his father's side.
Why did you send for me?
You know why I sent for you.
So, you're asking me to take this thing and go out there and fight?
Correct.
How can you do this to me? I thought you didn't want me. Why? Why did you have to call me now, Father?
Because I have a use for you.
The longer he stays, the more his resentment grows, but also the desire to be praised for his seemingly heroic actions of defeating the angels, which is something that non-humans like Rei don't require. This becomes a cycle that Shinji uses to justify why he stays piloting the Avas.
Nobody accepts me.
That's not true. You just believe that is so.
And so that's why I must pilot the Ava.
This methodical approach of manipulation is recognized by Karl Marx, who suggests that to shorten that part of the working day, during which the workman must labor for his own benefit, to lengthen the other part of the day, during which he is at liberty to work gratis for the capitalist. You could therefore argue that what makes you human in the perspective of Neon Genesis Evangelion is the ability to motivate yourself to keep living. Shinji is motivated by his compassion for the people that care for him, but mainly the selfishness of wanting to understand himself. He comes to the realization that his moral standing is centered around the greater good of humanity when he is forced to kill the only person that says that they love him, as this character is an angel, one of the show's natural antagonists. Gendo Ikari is motivated by his desire to fulfill the wishes of his dead wife, and eventually reunite with her within his science experiments through whichever means necessary, even if this is sacrificing the free will of the whole world and manipulating his only son to do so. For that reason, Rei cannot be considered human. She ultimately sacrifices her life, like the angels throughout the series, for a world that she does not understand, seemingly to end her cycle of being resurrected for a cause that she has no compassion for. After all, in the words of Terry Eagleton, if it is rational to settle for an ambiguous mixture of misery and marginal pleasure when the political alternatives appear perilous and obscure, then it is certain that they will finally revolt against it.